Welcome to Fire Research Corporation's presentation of the TurboFoam system installation. This will provide support for the installation of the TurboFoam system. This is strictly a supplement to the Fire Research Instruction Manual. We will begin by going over the installation of the paddle wheel flow sensor. The flow sensor should be mounted in an upright position. This helps prevent sediment in the plumbing from interfering with the paddle wheel. The paddle wheel flow sensor must be installed with at least 6 times the pipe's diameter of straight run pipe after an elbow. If that long of a straight run is not possible, use a stream straightener or contact Fire Research about other possibilities. Allow a minimum of a 3-inch clearance above the sensor installation. In this example, we have used a weldment. The depth of the sensor housing is critical and depends on the size of the pipe that you are using. Consult the installation manual for the correct depth required for your application. The alignment tab must be centered on the pipe center line. It can be in either upstream or downstream, but must be on the center line. You can use a ruler pressed against the alignment tab to help find the pipe center line. Tighten the locking nut with medium torque. When installing the flow sensor, align the flat section of the sensor rim with the alignment tab. Make sure the O-ring is in the sensor housing groove. Hand tighten the retainer cap. Connect the flow sensor with the included cable. We will now go over the installation of the foam pump assembly. The foam pump assembly must be located lower than the foam tank and selector valves if used. Foam concentrate must gravity feed the pump. Mount the unit in an upright position using 3/8 inch hardware. Larger pumps that have fan ventilation will require at least a 1/2 inch clearance for the fan intake. Allow room for access to the calibration valve and hose. Remove the pump oil reservoir shipping plug. Replace with the yellow vented cap and dipstick. We will now go over installing the plumbing. This is the foam pump concentrate discharge, which is connected to the concentrate injection hose. The foam concentrate injection hose must have at least a 1/2 inch inside diameter and be rated for at least 500 psi. The foam concentrate injection hose connects to the foam concentrate check valve injector. This is a Fire Research foam discharge valve assembly with a foam concentrate check valve and discharge check valve. The foam injection point must always be downstream of the discharge check valve. Fire Research also makes a foam discharge valve assembly with a built-in paddle wheel sensor housing. This is the foam pump concentrate intake. It must be gravity fed. The hose diameter depends on the pump size. Please consult the installation manual for your minimum hose diameter requirements. All hose lengths on the suction side of the foam pump should be kept as short as practical. All the plumbing between the foam pump and the foam tank check valve must be rated for a minimum of 500 psi. Install a strainer before the concentrate pump. The calibration hose should be accessible for calibration. We will now go over the electric ABF selector assembly installation and plumbing. The electric ABF selector assembly is attached with 4 5/16" bolts. When mounting, leave room to access the valve for manual operation as well as all plumbing connections. The electric ABF or any manual selector assembly must be located lower than the foam tanks. The foam pump must be below any selector valve assembly. If possible, mount the foam tank check valves directly to the foam valves on the selector assembly. If this is not possible, all plumbing between the selector assembly and foam tank check valve should be as short as possible and rated for at least 500 psi. In this picture, you see an optional foam concentrate drain valve and hose. A manual shutoff valve must be installed between the foam tanks and check valves on the valve selector assembly. The foam concentrate clear suction hose must be rated for at least 23 inches of mercury vacuum and 50 psi. Install a flush line that has a minimum inside diameter of 1/2 inch and is rated for at least 500 psi. A strainer is placed in the line before the selector assembly. The flush line is plumbed into the discharge manifold of the pump. The flush line has a check valve in it to prevent foam from being discharged into the pump. For detailed wiring information, please reference the Fire Research Installation Manual. When connecting all wiring, provide a drip loop to help prevent excessive water from running into the electrical connections. For more information on programming and calibrating the TurboFoam system, please view our TurboFoam programming and calibrating presentation.